formally introducing. My name's Peter Gilabert, director of Get All You Can, and I'm interviewing Sandra Cruze.
Howdy.
All right.
All we can, baby.
Yeah. I remember when you auditioned for the film. I think you did a self-tape thing. I think, if I remember right, it was from, I found you on Backstage for the cast for the film. Does that sound correct?
Yes.
Okay. Obviously I thought you were great, and you really brought a lot to the role and all that good stuff. But let's see if we can go back a little bit. I don't know much about your background, like how you got into acting. Had you been doing it forever? Is it something you started any particular time? Or is it something you had on the back burner and you brought to the forefront? Or do you want to say a little bit about that?
I can elaborate.
Okay.
As you know, Peter, I have a web series called We're Not Dead Yet.
I know. I'm gonna ask you all about that.
Well, that pretty much sums up where I'm at, is that I'm older and life kind of took over, and I did a lot of really fun, great things in my life. But I always, when you're really young and you have that deep desire that you can hardly resist. And I resisted it. And I was led to these incredible situations, and I just kept fucking up and sabotaging it. And then at one point in my life, I thought, you know what? I want to act and I want to write. And so that's what I'm doing. And I'm really grateful to have been a part of your production. It was really fun. I met some really wonderful people. You were excellent to work with. So thank you.
And I think, thank you. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, we had some mutual friends back from the days of Al's Bar, didn't we?
Yeah, I was a bartender at Al's Bar.
Okay. And, me being a musician back a while back, I'm sure we met without knowing it or something like that. I don't know.
I probably served you a couple of cocktails.
Right.
I don't do that anymore.
Was it? I thought Al's was only beer.
It was beer and wine.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, and then we'd have like some whiskey in the back for shots.
And one of the fun things about Al's Bar was there's zero ventilation.
Oh yeah, you didn't have to smoke if you didn't.
I saw a notorious band there called the Imperial Butt Wizards, and they would light stuffed animals on fire. So you can imagine the health hazards involved. A place with no ventilation. They pretty much cleared the building.
Well, one time at bartending, I saw it all and got to meet all the bands, which was really fun. And we were in bands as well. I was in an all-white reggae band, which was all these great musicians from Cal Arts. And anyway.
Okay, well that's great. So being a musician, that must have helped bring something to the role. I mean, sometimes actors who don't have any kind of musical background struggle portraying a musician, but you didn't seem to have that problem, so that kind of explains it to me.
Yeah, I probably should sing and not act.
Well, no, I don't think so. I mean, it was great to have a cast that had most of the cast seemed to have both abilities, like certainly James and you and Johnny for sure, at least, and and everybody else at least managed to portray those kind of characters really well. So yeah, going back to the film, we did you have I guess, I mean, theoretically we'd probably both be interviewed by somebody else, but since I'm doing it, was it what you thought it was going to be when you arrived? I mean, it was such a quick thing. Everything was done in a few takes.
I'm down and dirty gorilla. I really do. And I think that people with a ton of money that do the slick films understand the difference and can appreciate it. I liked being contained in one area. I think it added the tension for what we had to go through. And also, we drove down from Los Angeles, three of us, for several weekends, and it was just really great. So we really got to know each other as a cast.
Yeah.
We were all still in touch, you know?
Yeah, yeah. That's true. A lot of those bonding kind of things on super low, no budget films can have there's a certain real cool element that sometimes happens. It's almost like being in a band or something like that. You might be roughing it, but you remember it and you have time to get to know.
The thing that struck me the most when I read it, the script the first time, I was really shocked by the ending. I'm like, oh, I didn't expect that to go down. And so when we filmed it, it was heavy, you know? And who knew that we were going to be going into a pandemic, you know, shortly after.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, you know, this whole sense of what is going to happen next on our world, our planet, you know? Yeah. And so the ending is like, well, was it a terrorist? Was it an earthquake? Was it you know, we don't really know, but we do know that none of us fared very well.
Well, you know, and one fun thing for me when I was, you know, I spent about, I don't know, 7 or 8 months editing it, was every day I worked on it. I got to see you guys do your thing over and over again. So I really got to see all the ins and outs of your performances, and it was really fun. So for me, it kind of never ended. I was still in that room for another 7 or 8 months, but I would see like subtle things and looks. I'm like, oh, that takes really good. Oh, she did that great look. I definitely get to use that, and I would get all excited about certain things. So it was really fun because I just kept reliving it. You know, so I'm glad that it's that I finished it, of course, but it was
that's the main thing. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and it did get in a couple of online festivals and 1 or 2 so, you know, regular festivals, but that were canceled. So, but you know, now it's coming out, so that's great. That's really good. I'm really happy about that. So now that was 2 years ago. So I know
they're kidding me.
You've got your web series you've done. We'll talk about that too. Did you jump in straight into something else before the web series? Did you go back? I know you were working in theater. Were you keeping busy with that after we filmed, or?
Yeah, I've written a couple of plays. And then I also wrote a 10-minute play that I've now submitted in one thing. And it's very near and dear to my heart. It isn't We're Not Dead Yet, which is also near and dear. But I had read an article about the Overstegen sisters. They were from the Netherlands, and they were 13 and 15 during the occupation, Hitler's occupation. And they joined the resistance and lured Nazis out into the forest and shot them. And I thought, oh, there's a story worth telling.
What country is that?
That's the Netherlands.
Okay.
And so it was right as the occupation really started. And one of the actresses is handicapped. She's disabled, and she's incredible. And she's won all these awards in Germany. And so I kind of rewrote the script and did some more research on T4, which was the first program that Hitler instituted where they euthanized German citizens who had any kind of mental disability or physical disability. And they were a precursor to the camps. And so the Me Too movement was happening. And I just thought, you know what, it's really important to show women being badasses. So I wrote this thing, and I've done a 10-minute film. And I'm, you know, like you, I'm really proud of it. I haven't gotten really great feedback on it, and I keep editing it because it's too long. And, you know, the huge learning curve that we go through doing films.
Yeah.
So that was one thing.
Well, that's great. Those characters that takes a lot of nerve. What they did. I mean, you know,
Yeah, I think you have to be really young, but also being up against that, and that's my log line. What does it take to turn two ordinary girls into extraordinarily courageous women?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Well, like, you made this movie, okay, and then after that is when you decided to do this web series, We're Not Dead Yet? Was that about a year ago, or was that just recently?
It's really morphed. Originally, I wanted to do something with two women, and that ended up being a TV series that I'm still working on called Groundless.
Okay.
And we did a trailer on it and submitted it to Sundance. Didn't get anything, but whatever. But that's about two women, because I wanted to write it for my writing partner, Sarah Hunter. We're Two Heads Are Better Productions.
Mm-hmm.
And it just never got off the ground, but it's a really good concept. It's a plastic surgeon and a human rights attorney. And she comes home from Afghanistan and she finds her husband in bed with a Saudi student. And cut to, she is eventually asked to defend the woman that her husband is sleeping with, because if she gets shipped back to Saudi, she'll be executed. So that's the first thing. And then she brings her friend in, who's a plastic surgeon, and they end up having to fake her death and blah, blah, blah. So once they have stepped over the line of lawlessness, they like it.
That's a great dilemma.
Yeah. So that's just part, it's crazy. I mean, and there's just a whole bunch of backstory and a bunch of characters. So that never happened. And so, most of the stuff I do is really heavy and serious. Mm-hmm. And I thought, you know what, let's just do something fun. And that's where We're Not Dead Yet came from.
Now, I've seen a few episodes. I've kind of jumped around in time. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, you've done 2 whole seasons, right?
Yeah, we're on our 2nd season. We're dropping the 3rd episode of the season 2 next Wednesday. Okay. And then Sunday, I'm so excited about this. Sarah of Two Heads is obsessed with Marie Antoinette. She's read every book, and I loved Sofia Coppola's version of it with Kristen Dunst. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I'm a hairdresser by trade. Mm-hmm. So I looked at that film and went, I would kill to be able to do those wigs. Mm-hmm. So we're doing a scene with Marie Antoinette, and we're old. I don't know if you've seen Harlots on Hulu, but Leslie Manville, she deserves every award you could give her for her bravery. She's such an amazing actress. But I mean, white makeup, when you're old, it shows every wrinkle. We're going to look like whatever happened to Baby Jane. Anyway, the reason I was late is I was at Michael's buying a ship that I don't even know if I can fit in my hair. So we're going to have a lot of fun. We are sneaking into a casting director's backyard, completely dressed.
Well, that sounds pretty funny.
Yeah. So, it's kind of like Lucy meets Whatever Happened to Baby Jane meets Absolutely Fabulous.
Yeah. I could see that. And it's this subject, hasn't been quite addressed the way you guys are doing it. I think it's unique in that you have just the 2 characters, and I think a lot of people will be able to identify, with these characters. It's just an area that I thought you had a unique take on this whole subject matter that you're exploring.
Which is getting old.
Yeah, I mean that, but also just the attitude behind it. Yeah, I mean there's a few shows about it, like Kaminsky Method, and a couple other come to mind, but they're more they're not quite the same take. They're more, typical kind of this characters in this family.
I just watched the 3rd season.
Pardon me?
The Kaminsky Method. I just watched the 3rd season. Have you watched it?
I've watched a lot of it, but I don't know if I've watched the 3rd season.
I mean, it's like you have to do your arc, and you have to lose it all and la 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 and all that. Mm-hmm. I love that he has Kathleen Turner on the show. I fucking love her, and I know her physical history and element and what's going on with her. Mm-hmm. But everybody fucking dies. It's like, what is it, Game of Thrones again? And part of the reason that we did We're Not Dead Yet is at my age, when its age range here's what happens with me. Either they want me to be a grandmother and then I show up looking like this and they're like, no, you're too old to be a slut, but you're too young looking to be a grandmother. And they either want you to die of have Alzheimer's or cancer. And so I'm like, I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? We're not dead yet. So this is what we started writing, just zany stuff.
Yeah. I know.
It's a real stereotype with getting old as a woman, particularly in Hollywood.
Yeah, I know. There's so many missed opportunities with stories, and a young woman and an older man story is considered one type of story, and the opposite is more common. So yeah, I know. I think a lot of people are tired of the same kind of age groups represented, and other age groups just totally ignored.
Yeah.
But I think hopefully it's changing.
Well, there's this one thing we're trying to reach, and then I'm going to ask you some questions.
Mm-hmm.
There's a woman, her name is Amy Bear, and she is starting a production company, a film company called Landline Pictures. And if you're young, you don't even know what a landline is, right? And so she just she's worked with all kinds of, like Sony and Disney and blah, 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 everything. And she just said there's a huge market of people over 50, hello, baby boomers, that is not being tapped into. And it's true.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's face it, my generation was the shit. And there's some weird thing out there that millennials hate us. And it's like, why? You wouldn't have fucking anything if it wasn't for, I went to jail fighting for women's right to choose. You know what I mean? And I am marching in the civil rights, and Fred Hampton's murder was what got me completely involved in also the killing of the students at Kent State. And we had nothing back then. Women had nothing. I was fired for being pregnant because it was obscene to look pregnant.
Wow.
Job.
Yeah.
So I became a big radical feminist. Anyway, we have tons of stories, our generation.
Yeah.
And eventually we will tell them on We're Not Dead Yet, but so far we haven't.
That's true.
So are you going to do anything after this?
I have, I have a couple of things written, and I'm not sure. I wrote something that seemed a little too expensive, and then I wrote something more cheap and easy and fast, and I'm still not sure if I can do that. So it remains to be seen. I have to go through the whole fundraising thing and all that kind of thing. So, and now it's only now that I could probably get something together where I don't have to worry too much about, COVID compliance and that kind of thing. So I'm working.
Your scripts, because there's all those things you can submit to for scripts to get funding.
Mm-hmm.
I've never gotten funded. I was a finalist for a quarterfinalist for my play, but you just get the accolade. You don't get any. It was with Screencraft.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I definitely have a couple of things written. So, and the second thing I'm finishing up. So, I hope to do something else. Definitely.
What's the theme?
What's that?
What's the theme?
The first thing I wrote was about. It was about a mentally ill person, and it just. It's like a love story about incest, alcoholism. It's just so messed up and crazy and weird. With sort of this other weird murder going on in the background. And then this other one I wrote is more just a straight up B movie thriller, but it's just kind of fun. So that's basically what I'm working on.
Oh, the other one, incest, alcoholism. A lot of people can relate to that. You should do it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I hope to get both of them going in the near future. I might set up something where you can have. I can't remember how it works. There's a way where you can get donations that are tax deductible. It's through another organization, through a nonprofit. I can't remember the actual term. It's that's used, but I know a number of people who've done things that way. So. Yeah, I will be doing something at some point. And but okay, well, now did you have anything else you want to mention or plug? Um, as far as projects or things like that? I think, we know all about your web series.
I'm trying to do, there's a class that I have, and I've met some really great actors in it. And we are trying to get the rights for Virginia, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, Albee's play. Because I will kill to play Martha. I want to play her before I die or age out. And we've been rejected twice, so we're going to try one more time to get the rights
for a stage presentation.
Stage.
I wonder what.
They're really, the Albee Foundation is really. It's just and because of COVID, they've probably things are on hold. I don't know. You never know.
It's funny. My mom knew him. Apparently, she would always talk about. I mean, I don't know how well she knew him, but she talked about going to lunch with him and all these things.
Wow, what did she do?
She worked in foreign film acquisition for one of the film chains, that exhibitors like AMC or something like that for a while. I mean, she has Alzheimer's now. She lives in Texas, so she wouldn't be able to talk about any of this now. But yeah, she knew him on some level about 10, 15, 20 years ago. She would talk about him.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm a huge Mike Nichols fan. So
yeah,
his
it's amazing.
One of the things that impresses me, and that influenced Get All You Can to a large degree too. When I did my Indigo fundraising, pitch, I called it a cross between Spinal Tap, Breakfast Club, and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. Because one of the things he does is so amazingly is he'll have a drama. He'll call it a drama, but it's almost a comedy. I mean, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf could be billed as a comedy. It's hilarious, but by calling it a drama, he gets to do all that stuff, and people and just have it be funny because people aren't expecting it to be funny. So I think that's one of the most amazing things about that play. I mean, other than the fact that the characterizations are so amazing, and
I mean, his writing just blows my mind. Like Three Tall Women, love Three Tall Women.
Yeah, I mean, one of
the goat. Holy shit!
He had a really interesting. I don't know if you know this, but he had a really interesting way of writing. And one of the things he did is he would walk around and walk in a park, whatever, for months and months and months, and he'd be working on a play, and people would say, "Well, have you written anything?" He'd say, "No." And he'd say, "Well, how could you be working on it?" He said, "I don't know the characters well enough." He would spend the entire time just getting to know his characters before he even wrote a line. So it's really interesting way to approach things.
And then he would just sit down and pop them out.
Because he knew exactly what they would say, and he would just let the fireworks go. Well, anyways, this is really great, Sandra. I think pretty much covered all the stuff I wanted to cover. We'll definitely.
To you then, before we wrap it up, is that if you can give me the link for your film, and then I will give you.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I will figure out how to get I don't know how to do any of that.
Oh yeah, I mean, Get All You Can is it's being distributed by Summerhill Films.
Okay.
And they're gonna put it. If it's anything like all their other movies, it comes out in early July. They have a new trailer they made, a new poster, and that kind of thing. And we're gonna blast it. They're gonna give me permission to blast it in about 2 weeks, and probably.
Okay, so when you get that, you'll send it to all of us.
Oh yeah, definitely. You guys will get all that. And it should be. I mean, I would assume it's going to be on Amazon, Vudu, Tubi, Google Play, all YouTube movies, all those kind of typical places. So yeah, it'll be out there for sure. And
get them to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
How did you find the distributor? How did I find a distributor?
I spent about 9 months sending this out. I didn't really go after a lot of them in a hardcore way until I was. I researched distributors first to see if I even had a chance with them, and I just put feelers out. I considered getting a producer's rep or sales agent, but I changed my mind because I decided this wasn't a big enough film to do that with. So I decided to reach out directly, and I got turned down by quite a few, until I found, you know, that I think the guy who decided to put it out just thought it was interesting. I mean, he does a lot of horror stuff and other stuff, B movies, but he just decided it had something kind of interesting about it. He thought it was witty, he said. But that, I mean, I just went through lists and lists of distributors that are, you know, there's a lot of websites, or not websites. There's a lot of groups on Facebook that can help you. I'll send you some links too to that if you like.
I would. Yeah, I'm just, it's like the learning curve never stops.
Yeah. Just that's a whole nother subject. It's really tough right now. You know, and with the deals out there, you got to be really careful if you want to get paid, and we'll see what happens with this. But you know, I like these guys. Actually, the day I was going to sign the contract, I got an interested party write me the day, like within an hour, another interested party. So I had like 2 offers out of when I had none for like, you know, a year. And I just went ahead and went with the first guy because it was he's closer. You know, closer, and I just, you know, I thought, okay, well, this guy, I think I know what he's going to do. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if it gets any traction. I hope so. I hope it does get seen.
Yeah.
But
with all of our work, you know,
yeah,
because we love it, but we want people to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Well, I hope to work with you again, and keep me posted, and I'll keep you posted.
All right, Sandra. Thanks a lot.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.